And it's okay. Maybe it's a ritual by now. Every time we go live, your
It
camera
always
just flips.
happens.
Yeah, it's okay. But here we are. It's Tuesday or Thursday. Sometimes the days just go by so fast. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your local realtor here in Reno Sparks, Alfyn Gestoso. I have the amazing Jessica on here as well with Guild Mortgage. Jessica, I know we've been on for a little bit, but of course, you never know who's watching. Introduce yourself and tell the world what you do.
Of course. Hi, everyone. I'm Jess. I am a loan officer with Guild Mortgage. I've been in the financing industry for 5 years now, since 2020, and I work hand in hand with Alfyn to get all of our first-time home buyers and repeat home buyers to the finish line.
Yes. Okay. So every week we have a different topic. We definitely, what we love doing is just educating what's going on, what we're seeing. So today we're going to go ahead and dive a little bit about the unspoken rule that can make or break your journey with the home buying process. So today we're going to break down like buyer etiquette and agreements so you feel really confident, respected, and ready when that time comes. So, Jessica, when a buyer reaches out to you, what are a few things you wish they already had done or had prepared?
I I get a little bit of both, and I it doesn't really matter where you start.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes my new clients have already talked to a realtor, like for example, you. And then the realtor is who referred them my way. I like that because they have already done the first time
Mm-hmm.
consultation with you, right? With the realtor.
Yep.
You've already talked to them about what the market is looking like, whether it's a buyer's or a seller's market, what the price range is for homes that maybe they're interested in or looking like. So when
Mm-hmm.
they come to the lending side, they kind of already have a really good idea of what they need to qualify for what they're looking for, right? Now, sometimes I'll get the client that has not yet consulted a realtor, which I also like. That's totally fine. And then at that point, what we would do is we would just get them qualified, talk about numbers, let them know what they qualify for at the most. And then when they're at their buyer consult, that is when they will have maybe even a reality check many times of like really what home prices are looking like. And then they'll come back and be like, Jess, it's either perfect, too much, or not enough. And then we can work backwards from there. So it just depends on where your starting point is. But I do
Mm-hmm.
think to have a better or smoother start to the process, I always recommend that they start with a home buyer consult with the realtor.
Absolutely. That just sets up the tone for sure when that's the first thing. That way we can get an idea what they're looking for, right?
Yeah. And then, of
So,
course, like the pre approval process at that point is smooth because the expectation of how much they need to qualify for is already there. And then we can start working towards that main home buying goal that they have, right? So that's the first step. Usually during the pre approval process is where I recommend that if you're going to do any shopping around, you do it then.
mm-hmm.
Because and let's talk about home buyer etiquette, right? So, one of the main things that I have encountered is sometimes I will get the same client referred to me by multiple realtors, which is, I
Yikes.
mean, it's a good sign, right? Like they're referring you to the same person. That means I'm the best. But, but it puts us and puts me in like a weird situation where it's like, well, who are you working with? And I'm sure you can talk about that as well yourself, where and it's just so easy. If you go to open houses, you're going to meet so many different realtors, and you may ask that realtor a specific question about that home.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're getting your contact information, right? Because they're going to want to get back to you with the answer. But also, you've created this expectation that you may actually want to work with them. When in reality, maybe you just had one simple question about that specific home. So, and this is where you can jump in, Alfin, and let me know like what your normal standard procedure is with that. What I've seen a lot of people do when they come to open houses is they will have their realtor's business card ready, and they will just tell that realtor who is there, like, I am represented. This is my realtor. If you have any questions, let them know. And that way they know that, you are already represented. There may be no chance of actually getting any business out of you. So
Mm-hmm.
there isn't that false expectation anymore.
100%. Just be, honest and straightforward that you are working with someone, and us realtors will respect that because it just creates a lot of confusion, right? So, and you as the buyer having multiple people in your ear will just create that confusion for you as well. So, having like a set person that you know, love, and trust guide you through the process is way better than having 5, 10 people in your ear.
Mm-hmm.
So just be honest. We'll totally respect it. You know what I mean? And work with that one person that you know, love, and trust, because that person will take care of you. So, you know, aside from just hearing different opinions, stick with the one that you trust the most.
Right, the one that you like the most. And that's where the interview process comes in, right?
Hmm.
Like I said, you are actually encouraged to interview the professionals that you want to work with. That's your realtor and that's your lender.
Yep.
But typically, if we are referring to home buyer etiquette, we want to take care of this right off the get-go and hopefully select the person that you are vibing with the most or that you connect with the most right from the beginning or during that pre-approval process. You should be able to get a good idea of what interest rates each lender can offer prior to even getting into contract on a property. So
Hmm.
that's why I encourage that you just go ahead and select the group of professionals that you want to end up working with as you move forward at the beginning stage.
Absolutely. And so, Jess, what's one common mistakes buyers make during the loan process that could definitely be avoided with better communication or even planning?
Yeah, so if we're talking about consulting different people, what I have seen is a lot of the times you see this advertised, right? Where it's like, you can get a 5.5% interest rate with whatever, no down payment. And then you get super excited because you're seeing this advertising and you call that lender and now you're working with two multiple lenders.
Mm.
What happens a lot of the time is that lender you called is going to tell you, totally, I have that program. Like, let's look into it for you. You get excited and then you actually start the process because you think you're going to get something better. And it turns out that there are a lot of different little details that they didn't tell you that would require certain qualifications for you to get that specific deal. So a lot of the times it's clear communication. Talk to the if you're already working with a lender, let's say you like that lender, you have clear communication, which you should if you're working with that person and
Hmm.
trying to get into contract with that person. I want you to have clear communication with both your realtor and your lender. You have to feel comfortable. If you don't feel like you can get an answer within the same day or just an answer in general to your question, then maybe that's not the professional you should be working with, because you want to make sure that, I mean, these things happen so quickly. Often you find a home, you need to make an offer right away, you need to know what your mortgage payment is going to look like,
Yes.
and then that lender doesn't get back to you for 24, 48 hours.
It's
Now,
crucial.
yeah, exactly. Now, maybe you'll make the offer, but you'll make it blind.
Mm.
And you have that sticker shock when you finally find out what that mortgage payment is going to look like. Or you don't make the offer and someone else beats you to it. So, clear communication and not just clear, fast communication is very important. So, what I mean by that is if you see something that might have piqued your interest. Maybe you saw a program that another lender was advertising and you want to know, is this real? Talk to your lender. If you trust them enough, they should be able to be honest with you. Granted, most of the programs that are out there are pretty much available across the board to most lenders.
Hmm.
There are some lenders that might have some unique programs that maybe the other one does. That is where the competition comes in, right?
Yeah.
But that's why you can talk to your lender who's already helping you, knows your situation, and they can tell you, I know exactly what program that is. This
Hmm.
is the reason I didn't suggest it to you. It might be because you don't actually meet the requirement or the criteria for it, right? Maybe you don't have the right credit score. Maybe you need down payment assistance, therefore that program isn't available to you because it doesn't allow down payment assistance to be involved. I mean, there's so many things that go into it. But that's where all of the mixed signals can come in. And then the buyer just ends up being so overwhelmed and
Yeah.
confused because they're getting different information from different areas.
100%. So you touched based on communication. So how
Mhm.
important is it for a buyer to have that consistent communication with their lender and agent? So what in your opinion, what happens
Mhm.
when that one breaks down? Because you know how
Oh.
I don't know if you've experienced it, but you have constant communication, then all of a sudden it's like they ghosted you. How
Yeah.
does that look like?
So you
Or,
want to make sure you, first of all, I think that the easiest sign to know whether this lender is for you or if they have your best interest in mind is, can I reach out to them today and get an answer today? Now, don't get me wrong, we are busy people. I mean, there are days where I myself have back to back to back client appointments, but it's like a relationship, right? It's like dating someone. And I'm sure a lot of our women can relate to this. It's, well, didn't you have like 10 minutes of spare time to tell me you were busy? It's the same thing with your lender and probably with your realtor as well. If you ask me something and I am, and it is one of those days where I have back to back to back appointments, I will still be able to get back to you and let you know, hey, this is what my schedule is looking like. I'm sorry, I may not be able to get back to you until 3 p.m. today. Let me look at this then, and I will get back to you before end of day. Or, hey, if it comes down to it, right? I'm on vacation today. I will be right back tomorrow. Is this urgent? Any type of communication is good. Okay. So
mm,
as long as you're getting a response, perfect. Now, when it comes to numbers and you need to make an offer right away, express that to your lender. Hey, don't just, because I have been in this situation where I get an email or a text message with an address, but I don't know if this is urgent or not. And it wasn't expressed that it was urgent. So then I may not be able to get to it until later. But
yeah.
if I know you're about to make an offer, you must know right this minute. Trust me, I will try and make time to be able to work up these numbers for you really quickly. So always express whether it is an urgent matter or if you need to hear back by end of day, or even it's always appreciated if it's not urgent. Just let us know, hey, it's not urgent. I just have a quick question. Get back to me whenever you can.
I love it.
But yeah,
Okay.
I mean, communication is key, especially once you get into contract. Sometimes what I have noticed is a lot of lenders will communicate often during the pre-approval stage, but once, and this sounds terrible, but once they feel you're locked in or you're going to be working with them, communication can fall through a little. And then
Mm,
you finally get into escrow on a property and you don't hear from your lender for a week and a half. You are wondering, where are we? Has appraisal been ordered? That should never be the case. And matter of fact, with both sides, once my clients get into contract, I have clear communication with both the seller and the buyer side because I want to make sure that there is no nervousness on the seller's end on whether my buyer is even qualified or good to go. Because that can be really frustrating on the selling age and as well as like the buyer's end. I want to make sure you know when the appraisal is ordered. I want to make sure you know when the appraisal will be back, whether we are encountering any hiccups that might delay closing. I mean, when you're in contract, you're going to have weekly communication with your lender.
yes. So that's just something to expect. And that's a good thing because then once you get into a contract, then we have timelines. And those timelines are very important to keep in mind and stay on track. And that we don't go over or behind on those things as well. So that's definitely something to just keep in mind and to expect once you go on in contract.
Yes.
So, Jess, I kind of want to touch base just really quick regarding the buyer agreement, what it is, why it protects you. So, I know some people are already kind of getting the news, are already expecting it, which is great. Some people don't know what it is yet, as well as we come along with some first-time home buyers. From your side of things, how does it help you when a buyer's committed to just one agent or team through that buyer agreement?
Yeah, I mean, and we'll pivot back to you here on this end because I want to hear your opinion on it. But what Alfyn is talking about is the buyer broker agreement. So this is probably going to happen really early in your home buying stage anyway, because this brings us back to that very first conversation we had at the beginning of this live, which is You want to make sure you pick the team of professionals that you want to work with almost right from the get-go. So that way you can have clear communication and know exactly what's going on with your entire home buying process from beginning to end. And there is no going back and forth between
Mm-hmm.
multiple people, right?
Yep.
That's when you want to interview the realtors that you are considering. And then once you have selected one in your own mind that you know, this is the person I want to work with, we connect very well, communication is clear and key, then you want to go ahead and sign that buyer's broker agreement. The way that that helps me as a lender is I know that now there shouldn't be a lot of back and forth with different realtors, which means my buyer isn't getting conflicting information from multiple people,
Yeah.
right? First of all. Second, I know that the one person I should be communicating my buyer's needs, questions, or concerns is this one specific realtor that they have signed that buyer's broker agreement. So it pretty much just helps maintain everything very organized and clear, not just here on the back end, but in my
Mm-hmm.
mind as well.
Yep. Yes. So once you find the realtor, the agent that you know, love, and trust, we then set up. I mean, it's not even like you may not even be in that process of trust fully, or but you vibe with, you get along with, and you feel like this person is confident to get you to the finish line. Then that's when we do the buyer agreement, and that's when we lock into, hey, I'm going to be representing you as your realtor. So I love it, honestly. It takes out all the confusion, all the background noise, and with anybody else, but focused on just me and the client. So personally, I love the buyer's agreement. I go over that with a potential buyer, before showing homes, and then that way we're just ready to go once that's signed. At least the process to getting with a lender and then getting pre-approved and then showing homes. So I
Yes.
honestly just love the process of it.
And then one thing before we go that I would want to touch base on is, oh my God. You can work with whoever you want to work with as far as lending is concerned.
Mhm.
On the lending side, you don't have this buyer's brokers agreement like you do with the realtor side.
Mhm.
Really, on the lending side, once you're kind of locked in per se, is once you get into contract and you sign those initial disclosures with us, really. So it doesn't happen until much, much later in the process. And something that I want to bring up with in regards to this that just left my mind is gosh darn. What was I about to say?
You said one last thing.
I know it was so important too, and then I got distracted with my camera doing its thing that always does.
It's okay.
Oh, let me say it before I forget.
There we go.
Is realtors will have their preferred lenders. Alfyn hopefully has her preferred lender. And anyone you're going to talk to probably already has some sort of partnership with a lender that they like to work with. But if you've already been pre-approved by someone that you like and that is doing a good job for you, you can always let this realtor know, hey, I'm already pre-approved. I like my lender. They're doing a good job for me and I'm
Mhm.
fine with their numbers. This is the person I want to proceed moving forward with. They can always let you know, okay, perfect. If you want a second opinion, or if for any reason you come to a point where you're not happy, this is my preferred lender. Reach out to them, ask them anything you need to know. End of story. I have heard horror stories of where the realtor is pushing for their
Mhm.
lender, and it confuses the buyer in the way that they think, oh, like in order to work with you, I need to work with them, which means
Mhm.
I have to forego the person that I like or the person that's been doing a lot of hard work for me just to be able to continue working with you. That's not the case.
Yeah.
So if it ever comes down to it, just stand your ground, let them know you are already pre-qualified. Realtors will work with any financing agency.
There you go. Yay, awesome. So one last thing. What do you say to buyers who feel very overwhelmed by all the information and don't know who to trust?
Yeah, I mean, the information that you're looking for, the information we give should be out there on the internet as well. So if you ever feel that you are being bamboozled or in some way, shape, or form being given incorrect information, you can look everything up online and you will probably find some information to either back up what they're saying or deny what they're saying, first of all. But honestly, if it comes down to you not trusting what you're being told, then maybe you do need to find a different professional or
Mm-hmm.
be upfront with that person and let them know, hey, I heard this down the grapevine. It's conflicting information based off of what you're telling me. What do you think this is? And they will either be able to clearly and concisely be able to explain to you what you're talking about and why it's not the case or why it doesn't apply to you. If they, and I'm a firm believer that if you can't clearly and concisely explain something, you don't understand it well enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if they can't explain it to you in a way that makes sense to you, that it clicks in your brain, then maybe you do have to refer to a different professional who can help you a little more understand these things.
100%. So, just some final takeaways. Buyer etiquette sets the tone for your success. The buyer agreement will definitely empower you with clarity and commitment. So, if you're thinking about buying here in Reno Sparks or want to know what your options are, definitely, we can chat. We'll walk you through the process. No pressure, just really honest guidance. If you have any questions as well, just drop it on the chat or send us a message. And me and Jess have our socials and Facebook, um, Instagram, LinkedIn. So if you ever want to go ahead and give us a follow, you can also view us there. Other than that, did you have anything else, Jess?
That's about it. If you guys obviously have any questions, Alfyn and I are always ready to answer those, even on the comments down here.